So let's have a look at how these different acts of parliament and rules and regulations affect what I'm going to do in iMedia. Here I am, I'm trying to do the editing for my video sequence in R089, and immediately I know that there are some things here that should have been done. So in this opening sequence, I will have needed to make sure that I've got permission from the school where these children are, and probably from each of the individual children's parents. I will have needed to actually store all of that information and make sure that it is not used for anything other than the reason that I have actually got it. So I can't give it to anyone else so that they can contact these people in the future. Obviously, I need to be careful about what I can show on film. In this case, although they're children, there's nothing untoward going on. I need to make sure that there is nothing in the background that's going to cause a problem, cause anyone offence or anything like that. We do have the situation here, and now some of you might recognise the building behind me there as being the Academy in Pinehurst. So according to the rules, I had to go and actually ask permission to film because I was not on public land at the time I was filming this. I was actually on the Academy's land, which is private land, and therefore I have to make sure that I have permission to film there. I, of course, also have a young man who I filmed in another setting, and again, I needed to have permission for this, as would you had you done it. Um, there is another person that was in the shot, and I've actually covered them up with this little bit of writing here. So I've actually only had to make sure that I've got permissions for Sam himself there. So that was all nice and easy, and that means again that I have to make sure that I store all of his data securely. I can't give that to anyone else. So when we look at these rules and regulations, you can kind of understand why they've come into being. If you were able to just go anywhere and sort of film anywhere that you wanted, then people might get a little bit offended. Had that been a regular school day when I went to the school and I just started walking around and filming things, you could understand why, in fact, people would get a little bit upset. However, there is one thing that I do need to discuss, and that's the fact that while you're filming, if you're filming in public, then technically and according to the law, you are quite at liberty to do that, whether that's still photography or whether that's video photography. The only thing that I would say is that people do get a little bit upset about it, and whilst you may be in the right, it's probably always advisable to actually seek permission of people anyway, or just let them know that some filming is going on. If they don't wish to be in it, then they have the option to move out the way. Okay, so that's for public spaces. So, if you're on the high street, that's a public space, no problem at all. Be careful though with things like shopping malls. The outlet centre in Swindon is actually privately owned. So in fact, you can't just go in there. You would have to go and contact the centre manager and find out whether you would be allowed to go there. So again, it's seeking permission to get these things done. Obviously, within my filming, I'm not allowed to say anything that is defamatory about any of the subjects that I have um, used within my filming. Anything that I've created myself, such as here I've got the website that I created myself, that one I don't need to worry about. I mocked up a website, so it's a false website, so it's one that I've done. Again, I don't need to worry about that. Had I actually filmed somebody else's website and placed that within my film, and it was very clearly visible that it was somebody else's website, I would have again had to contact that company and make sure that they were happy to have a video of their website in my video because obviously they might not necessarily approve of what it was that I was doing, and therefore they don't necessarily want to be associated with it. And that's very important that we actually understand how that legislation works. They have to give their permission, otherwise we must make sure that that particular website is either blurred out or people can't see exactly whose it is. And that's the same with people's faces. If they decline to be in a video, you could still put the video out as long as their face has been blurred. And I'm sure you've seen this when they're doing things like the films about police officers doing certain things. Quite often you'll see that the person that they capture, their face is blurred, and that's because until such time as they have been put before the courts and it's been proven that they did something wrong, you can't just film anyone, and if they didn't give their permission, then you can't use it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I hope that covers most of the questions that you have about the filming. As we've said all the way along, permissions is the thing that will really trip you up, and information, keeping it safe, will always be the best thing. In terms of what you're actually broadcasting, either on a film or on a website such as this, all you have to do realistically is make sure that you are not broadcasting anything that is illegal, you're not being offensive to people, and if it is something of a more adult nature, then obviously within the Video Recordings Act that states that you would have to have your film or your DVD or even your website if necessary. Those are rated, so they're classified into what groups they are, and then they are given a certification, which is the level. So obviously a 15 would be for those who are 15, U would be for everybody, and as we all know, 18s are for adults only. Okay, so that's the difference there between the classification and the certification, and that's all covered in the Video Recordings Act. Last thing to mention there is the Communications Act, and that's mainly about websites. Obviously, we've all had lots of experience with websites. One that you know very well, of course, Show My Homework. That's a website, and what it puts out on its website is controlled by the Communications Act. The other thing that the Communications Act does is it covers broadcasting. So whether that's broadcasting live on, say, YouTube, or whether that be broadcasting through your television channels, all of those items are regulated by a body called Ofcom, and they are responsible for all the communications, both digital and otherwise, that are still exist. And as I said, in thing there, incidentally, the people that control the levy for the BBC license fee. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.